that know me, that's not a fairly abnormal thing. But first off, the first one I do really means a lot to me. I designed it myself based on an old story called The Soldier's Prayerbook. And it's really one that I feel sums up a lot of why our magic. Specifically, because a lot of people have approached me after I do something and say, you're using a deck of playing cards, that's sinful, that's demonic. And no, this is a tool that the devil has used, sure, but that doesn't mean that we can't use it to fight for the kingdom. So without further ado, a deck of cards can be a story. You can tell pretty much any story that you want it to. It can tell you anything the characters involved. It can symbolize anything. Ace of clubs can symbolize the Trinity. It can symbolize the Godhead, three in one. The first of those symbolize the Ace of Spades, kind of the powerful, God the Father. So on the first day, he created lightness and dark. Second day, separated the waters. Third day, created the land. Fourth day, the sun, the stars, and the moon. Fifth day, the birds and the beasts of the sea. And on the sixth day, he created the animals. Also on the sixth day, after creating the animals and the regular beasts of the field, he created the first man, Adam. And after he created that, on the seventh day, he rested. Now after Adam had been created, and after he had been in the garden a bit, he began to feel, for lack of a better word, lonely. And so God created the first woman, Eve. And everything was fine and good until another character entered the scene, Satan. And he tempted the woman, and she did fall and took her husband with her. Now move to the second form of the Godhead. I'll symbolize that Ace of Hearts. Jesus, the Son, full of love for us. Born of a virgin, lived for 33 years. And in the 33rd year, was killed on the cross. Read a little bit of story why I use the King of Hearts for this. If you look carefully at any standard King of Hearts, he's got his sword through the back of his head. He's committing suicide. That's because Jesus didn't have his life taken from him. He gave it up. It wasn't by force. He gave it for us. But 3 days later, he rose, witnessed by women. Now, then we move to the third figure of God, which all symbolize Ace of Diamonds. Why? The most valuable thing that we can seek after in this world, because of the fruits of the Spirit, of which there are 9. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Yes, I learned on King James. And some of the first to receive this were the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and, of course, the Apostle Paul, one of the first missionaries, one of the greatest missionaries of all time. In some of their writings, they recorded some of the stories of Jesus and some of his teachings, and sometimes most impressively, some of his miracles. The feeding of the thousands with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Absolutely astounding. Or perhaps when he healed the 10 lepers, 9 of whom left without thanking him. Without a word of thanks to their Savior, they left. Also, they record some of his parables. The story of the 10 virgins, 5 of whom were not ready for the party of the bridegroom, and so they left. 5 of whom were prepared, and they were able to receive the bounteous harvest and the party that then followed. Or perhaps the parable of the sower, with the 4 different types of soil in which the seeds were laid. And that's some of the story of specifically the Godhead. But there's still some stuff left. What else can we see from this? What else can jog our memory in a deck of cards? Logging memory with a deck of cards just feels off, I know, but bear with me. Then we go back to the Old Testament. The story of when Noah took the animals 2 by 2, and it rained for 40 days, 40 nights, until there were only 8 people left on the earth. God wiped out an entire civilization, an entire population of the world, if there were 8 good people left. It still amazes me to this day. And so God laid down some rules. He laid down 10 commandments for them. They normally did fairly well to follow them, but there were some slight misunderstandings when they separated into the 10 tribes and the 2 instead of being in the standard 12. However, there was another time when a little boy named David decided there was time to fight. This was just any giant. This giant, in today's terms, was 9 feet, 9 inches tall. That's massive. It's monstrous. And David had a son. His name was Solomon, the richest man ever to walk the face of the earth. Held the most power of any human. King of diamonds, king of riches. And so with all of these, we see some of the characters. But we're forgetting the prophets. Elijah, who did 8 wonderful, marvelous miracles, and Elisha, who followed him. doing twice as many. Those are some of the obvious things that can be found in the Bible, but there are some subtle ones. The mark of the beast. Or, much more uplifting, 3/7, the mark of divinity. Now, for those of you that have been paying very close attention, you'll notice I have but one card left. Any guesses? Okay. Come again?
Joker.
Correct. Not just any joker, but this is a bicycle deck of cards, which best brand, just saying. Bicycle deck of cards. That means that this is a guarantee card. That means that if there's a defect in your deck of cards, send this one back, they'll send you another one with that deformed card back in. For somebody like me that goes through decks of playing cards like candy, that's amazing. But if a guarantee of a simple material item is so valuable, if it's so precious to somebody that uses it, how much better is a guarantee of God's love? That all we have to do is throw ourselves on Him and on His mercies, and He will accept us.